What's going on, y'all? Oh no, I was trying to avoid that and I did it. What the? What's going on, y'all? Amazing. It's Tuesday, 11 a.m. I almost said p.m. 11 a.m. Bienvenido. Welcome to the show. That's Spanish for welcome. I'm learning Spanish. Aprendo español. Me. Welcome to the show. Amazing. It's amazing to be back. Another week. Shout outs to Jesse Lee Peterson. Shout outs to Nick. Shout out to James. Shout out to Bill. They're behind the scenes trying to work on these computers and all that good stuff. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to dang it. Forgot his name. Sean. Sorry, Sean. Shout out to Sean, too. Everybody, every week just be on top of it. So, amazing. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the chat for you guys tuning in and watching the show. That's amazing. Allowing me to have somebody to talk to. That's always amazing. Excuse me. Couple things before we get right into it, right? I want to mention a few things. First thing is I want to talk about the topics that we may be covering today and then all that good stuff. So first topic I'm looking to get into is the arrogant shall be humbled. The arrogant shall be humbled. I'm going to explain why I wanted to talk about that and what that means. I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, right? But there's a little bit more behind it that I want to explain that I've learned, and I want to kind of share that. And, let's fellowship. And secondly, I want to take some calls too today. Today, I would like to, if the Lord is willing, I would like to take some calls. Because last week, I neglected the calls all the way to the end because I really just wanted to get my point across on the last subject. But today I would like to get to call sooner so that way we could talk a little bit more. So yeah, hopefully we can get to call. So call back in. And you can call in at 888-775-3773. We could talk live. We could fellowship. We could argue. We can do whatever. I'm open to it. You can ask me whatever. You can call in 888-775-3773. Amazing. Couple more things. Hit that like button. Smack it. Lay the smack down on the like and subscribe button and the share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we can get the subscribers up and the message out. Don't forget, make sure you do it. Appreciate y'all for what you've done already. Keep going. Keep putting it up there. Shout out again to Jesse Lee Peterson for allowing me to be a part of his network, as well as Nick and James. And, it's really coming together, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. So, amazing. Thank you. Also, do me a quick favor. The song that was in my intro is called Count on Me by So Callous. So Callous is actually one of my good friends. He's like a brother. I talk to him literally very often, if not every day, almost every day. He's a good guy. I found him. We talked through Bond, actually. I've never met him. We've never met each other actually in person, but he watched the show. He's a fan of Bond, and we somehow got in contact, and we just been super cool and close ever since. So his name is So Callous, and that song in the intro is called Count on Me. And if you were having trouble finding it before, it is now up on Apple Music. So now you can actually go get it on Apple Music. I thought it was up there before, but there were some issues behind the scenes that was making that a problem. But it's officially up on Apple Music. I think it'll be up on Spotify in a couple days. But it's on SoundCloud now, Apple Music now. So you can go stream my intro song, Count on Me by So Callous, and as well as his other music. He's a super dope, what would you call? I guess hip-hop artist. Rapper just sounds like too low level for his skill set. He's that good. He talks about real stuff. He makes genuine music. He's himself in his music. He's not too holy. It sounds good. He has a good cadence. He's just a good, all-around good artist. So make sure you go check out all his stuff on Apple Music and all the other places where you can get music. So callous. There's no space in his name. Go check it out. Amazing. Also, last week, before I get into what we're going to talk about today, last week we talked about why women use their influence to control men with sex. And we landed on the answer being because they want men. And that's what men are into. And there was a lot of calls on that, and I didn't get a chance to really get to them. So if you want to talk about that again or give your take on it or whatever, call back in 888-775-3773, and then we can get into it. But that's what we talked about last week. I definitely, so far, I think that was one of my favorite topics that we talked about because it's such like a huge thing that we see in society today. It's just out of control behavior, right? In all people, and some more than others, but it's getting out of hand. And if we don't have the answers to fix it or the understanding of how to fix it, then when will it ever change? So I like that we really got into that topic last week because I think that'll bring a lot of insight to what's really going on and have a little bit more understanding and compassion. Compassion is like an overused word, but compassion for the people who are involved in these things. And also to realize, to look at yourself in the mirror and realize on a small scale, maybe you're doing the same thing. You know what I mean? So, go stream that last episode last week, episode 4. I don't even know the date. Sorry, y'all. But it was last week. And in the bio, in my description, you'll see episode 4. I put the episode at the top of the description. You can check out episode 4. And we go into detail about how women use their influence. That it's godly to have influence. Men and women are supposed to have influence. But now we see today's society, women abusing their influence for sex, men abusing their influence for wanting sex and wanting attention and all these things. And we get into that into detail in the last episode. So if you missed it, that's the one you want to go back and watch. Okay. So make sure you go check that one out. Yeah. Amazing. Let me see. I'm wondering if I should take a couple calls now because calls, just hold on for 1 second. Let me just go a little bit into the topic, and then I'll take the calls. Okay, thank you for already calling in. The lines are filling up. Amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you for already calling in. I'm going to get to you in a second. Let me just shape my show a little bit, and then I'll get to some calls. Cool? Amazing. Could somebody close this door for me because it's a little bit distracting. James. Oh, never mind. Nick got it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cool. So, God will humble the arrogant. God's gonna humble. God's gonna humble the arrogant, right? I've been humbled so I don't even know how many times I had to be humbled from being arrogant. Just out of control, Joel. Just acting up. But I'm thankful and I'm grateful that God would even humble me, take the time to humble me, because that means he's working on me. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that. But Lord have mercy, have your boy been arrogant often. But over time, God continues to check me, and then my awareness grows, right? So I wanted to talk about that because it's such a good topic. And I actually came up with this because I was talking to So Callous. His name is Jason, by the way. He goes by Jason. I don't want to say his last name, but his name is Jason. His stage name is So Callous. But I was talking to Jason, and we were talking about this, being humble or being arrogant, and why that happened, and what's the cause of being arrogant, and then what happens when you are arrogant, and blah blah blah, right? So I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit, and what I realize is that when we become arrogant as human beings, we lose our light completely. It's gone. Because when we become arrogant, we step out of the light, right? We're off track. And when we're off track, the world can see it. Everybody can see it, right?
You should pull the mic over to you.
Oh, closer?
You don't have to be.
Oh,
Like you got some stuff.
okay. I'm trying to fix my posture here because I guess I'm leaning over. Thank you. I'm black. So, sorry, y'all. So when we're out of the light, the world can see it, right? Everybody can see it. So we're no longer an example, right? But there's nothing, and that's not a big deal. Like, oh, he's no longer an example. Big deal. That's not the big deal. The big deal is that we're up here speaking all this wisdom and knowledge and information, but then when we're not in the light about it, then we look crazy, right? So if we're up here trying to spread the message, but we're not in the light, the people see it and we look like hypocrites, right? And that goes for everybody, Christians and non-Christians, right? But I realized that Christianity has really become very, 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 very arrogant. Christianity as a whole has become very arrogant and misguided, which is why people reject Christianity, because it's off-putting, it's uncomfortable. So much to the fact that I don't even like telling people I'm a Christian. I don't even like that. Because Christian, to me, the name has gotten so destroyed and so negative, the name, that like you don't even want to be associated with it because it has such a bad ring to it. And people almost want to avoid you if you say that you're a Christian, right? And I just don't like how that comes across. And it's obviously not Christianity, the name, so I'm not telling people to like not claim Christianity or nothing like that. I'm just saying for me, it's just off-putting. If I get asked, I say I'm a Christian, but I don't be walking around talking about I'm a Christian because that's not like a good thing today. You know what I mean? I try to just let it be known without it being said, because I'm not doing anybody justice by saying I'm a Christian. For one, you're already putting yourself on a pedestal, and when it's not asked, right? When it's not the proper moment, but you're also creating an expectation for your lifestyle. And I don't want people to be all up in my business trying to judge me and all that stuff, right? I don't want that energy. So if people ask, I'll say I'm a Christian. And if it comes up in a conversation, I won't deny Christianity, right? Of course not. But I also don't boast about it because there ain't nothing to boast about. It ain't doing good. You know what I mean? So I think the reason why Christianity has become so very arrogant is because it's so fake and hypocritical. And I've been involved in that, right? Like, I've been involved in that. And I'm a part of the reason, too. And there's like a holiness, there's like a holier than thou energy that comes from people who gain insight and gain understanding of the word or a message or revelation. And we get puffed up, right? Because we think we know something that somebody else doesn't know. You know what I mean? So we get puffed up. And then when we get puffed up, we act as if it's of ourselves that we learned what we learned, right? And that's what turns people away, because it's like, what makes you smarter than me? And that's what I really wanted to get into. That's really like the bread and butter of the show today is like why we get arrogant, why we get into it, and how arrogant God has been checking arrogance since the beginning of time. And I got some examples. And arrogance has been around since the same issue. That's what's crazy. Even since Jesus' day, Jesus was dealing with arrogance in the people. In the disciples, he was dealing with arrogance. And I have examples to show that. But all these years later, it's still the same exact thing. That's why it's true what Jesse talks about, how the world just turns and the same issues just happen year after year. It's all the same stuff. It's all the same exact stuff. Years past, we just use different language. We use it in a different kind of way, but all the same issues. But arrogance has always been around since the beginning of time, and I wanted to talk about it. Y'all remember Peter, right? Peter from the Bible. Peter was known to be one of Jesus. Sorry, I need to stop moving around. I need to learn my podcast host etiquette. But Peter was known to be like the guy, Jesus' right hand. That's the guy. Peter was the guy. And Peter was the one, for those that don't know Peter from the Bible, Peter was the one that was called off the boat to walk on the water, right? Remember the disciples saw Jesus walking on water and they're like, wow, how you doing that? That's so amazing. Could I do it too? But Peter was the only one bold enough at the moment to try to do it, step out in the water, because God's like, come on, you can do it too. And Peter got out, got one foot in there, and he was doing well. And then he doubted and he fell into the water, right? But Peter, nevertheless, took the step, right? That was Peter, and that was Peter's personality. He was very like, the upside of Peter was very bold. He was like loud and fearless, opinionated, aggressive, strong, solid. And he had like, his heart was like on fire for the truth, right? That's how I'll explain my perception of Peter from the Bible. But the downside of Peter was he was very bold, loud, fearless, opinionated, aggressive, solid, and his heart was on fire for the truth. So the upside and the downside were the same. And I'm going to explain why. It's because oftentimes Peter would be overly zealous and passionate. He would slip into it, right? And though we're right after God, though we're following God, though we're on, we're trying to do the right thing, though our intentions are in the right place and we mean well, sometimes we can still slip into the arrogant, right? Even though it's for God. And even though it's so innocent, we can still slip into the arrogant, and we have to find our way back to the light. Because anything outside of the light is not of God. And there's no power in it. So an example that I wanted to bring up was many examples that Peter showed a lot of arrogance. And I have a few examples here. I'm just going to name a couple because I don't want to go too into this and take up the whole show. But a couple examples is Jesus had told the disciples that he was going to get captured. I'm sure you guys remember this, one of the most famous stories in the Bible. When Jesus was going to get captured, he goes and tells the disciple, I'm going to get captured. This is what's going to happen. This has to happen. This is God's will. This is all part of the plan. So just trust God. Peter goes, ain't no way I'm paraphrasing, right? Ain't no way I'm letting that happen, Jesus. No way I'm letting that happen to you, Jesus. What do you mean you're going to get captured? They're not capturing you on my watch. That's not happening. I'm strong. I'm aggressive. And I'm on fire for you. That ain't about to happen. But Jesus was like, and this is what it said that Jesus said in the Bible. Get behind me, Satan. To Peter. To the disciple, the right-hand man. Get behind me, Satan. And Peter was like, what? What do you mean? And Jesus was like, this has to happen. Get out the way. Because you're a problem right now. This has to happen, and you don't need to be interrupting it. Humble yourself. That was one example of his arrogance slipping away. Another example is when Jesus got captured. He got captured. And as he was getting captured, they were like, grabbing him and putting the little, they didn't have handcuffs back then, I don't think. But, they were doing that whole thing, right? Peter pulls out his sword and cuts the capturer's ear off, one of the capturer's ear off. And Jesus like, Peter, what you doing? Slow down. I told you to relax. Calm down. We're not about all that. Chill. You're not showing your halo right now. And Peter was like, okay, I'll stop. And I think Jesus went over there and like picked up the guy's ear off the ground and like put it back on his head. And then magically, he did his powers and then the ear was back on the head. So all was well, right? All was forgiven. He got his ear back. No big deal. But that was another example of arrogance because Peter stepped out of the light of God and decided on his own terms that he was going to do what he believed was best. Not what Jesus said, not all that stuff. And that's arrogance. Now, here's my last example of arrogance. This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite because Jesus has said, and I think everybody knows the story. Jesus has said, Peter, he pulled Peter to the side. He's like, Peter, look, they're going to capture me and you are going to deny me in front of everybody 3 times. And Peter said, Jesus, you crazy if you think I would deny you. I would never deny you. The biggest mistake right there, and I'm going to get into that. I would never deny you. What do you mean deny you? I know who you are. Mind you, Peter was the guy that first recognized Jesus as being the Son of God. He was like, you're the Son of God. And then Jesus was like, because you said that, I'm going to build my my something. You're like the rock. You are the rock of where I'll build my home or something. Something like that. Where I would build my something. I forgot. But he was like, Peter, you are different. Like you see what not everybody's seeing. Like you are special, right? But special Peter still can't see clear at all times, right? Perfect example of just being a human being and still being able to follow and still have God in your heart and still be born again. But you're still subject to human emotion, human nature, and blah, blah, blah. But moving on is that Peter was like, you're going to deny me. Or Jesus was like, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter was like, there's no way I'm doing that. It's never going to happen. He's like, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. Accept it. And Peter was like, nope, it's not happening. So anyway, Jesus gets captured. And then they take him into the courtyard. And then Peter somehow sneaks over there. And he's watching from the audience. And they're just beating Jesus. Like everybody there, just, the higher ups, the priest and the Pharisees and all the people over there in the courtyard just beating Jesus. And all the people around are just watching like, wow, yeah, he's evil. He's of Satan. Beat him, kill him. And they're just beating him like bad. Blood is just gushing everywhere. And Jesus is on the ground looking like half dead. But Jesus keeps standing up and they just beat him back down to the ground. Just beating him. And all the disciples from a distance are all hidden so they don't get seen, but they're also watching what's happening. Then one of the guards sees Peter. And the guard is like, Peter, is that you? Aren't you the follower of Jesus? Aren't you one of his disciples? And Peter, after seeing Jesus getting beat, he's feeling that fear, that human nature, right? He's feeling that fear. He's like, no, I wasn't with Jesus. And then they asked him again, and are you sure? Because you look like the guy that cut off so-and-so's ear. I think that this might be him, you guys. This might be Peter. Peter like, no, I'm not Peter. That wasn't me. And they were like, okay, well, let's go ask some other people. They go get some more witnesses. They come back, and they're like, that's him. That is Peter. That's the guard. Kill him. And Peter was like, no, I swear it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I'm not that guy. I would never, da. And they're like, okay, let him be. Let him be. 3 times Peter denied, just like Jesus said. Peter, and according to the Bible, Peter realizes he gets away, and Peter is feeling like every ounce of guilt and shame that you could feel possible. Peter's feeling it. Depression, anxiety, fear, all those things, he's feeling it because he's like, what the heck just happened? How did I deny Jesus? I seen Jesus do these miracles firsthand. I knew for a fact that Jesus was real. I knew for a fact that God existed. I knew all these things, but I still denied him. I don't understand. What happened? How did this happen? Arrogance. And the reason why I bring that up, because that story is so key to realizing how God works and how human nature works. Is because the only reason why I can speak on this, y'all, is because this continues to happen to me often, where I keep having to check myself or God's checking me, and then I'm realizing that I'm stepping away. And that's why I can understand this and I can speak this, is because from experience, this is continuing to happen to me in the same way it's been happening for years and years and years and years. Right? And the crazy thing is that of ourself, we know nothing. And Jesse says this, but this is just of truth. Of ourselves, we know we know nothing. Of ourselves, we can do nothing. And hold on, calls. I'm gonna get your calls right now. Like I'm finishing up here. Of ourselves, we know nothing. Of ourselves, we can do nothing. And the mistake we make is thinking that we did it. We have the right to take credit for what has been done in us, because human nature wants to possess something. They want to possess it because possessing something gives you confidence, right? Like, I own this. Like, I now have this Christianity, this light, this born again, and I have it, and now it's mine forever. That's a mistake. Ooh. There's no such thing as a grip. And this is so hard. This is hard for me. Is that there's no such thing as a grip, right? Everything is loose and fluid. So as quick as you can get it, it can go away, right? There is no grip. We keep trying to hold on to everything, like hold on to the light, hold on to not having anger, hold on to peace, hold on to all this stuff, when you never should have even told yourself that you had it, right? I'm no longer angry. I'll never get angry again. I speak on it because I've done it. I said it. I'll never get angry again. I'll never do that again. Says who? We don't have power. We don't have control. So we're either in control by evil or we're controlled by good. And I'm still trying to understand that. I don't have that like perfect, or I'm not always walking in that. I'm still trying to understand it too. But I can see how there's influence. And we're either one or the other. And it's of God's grace and God's favor that we even learned what we've learned, that we even know what we know. And it's because of being humble and not being arrogant is the reason why God is able to bring that insight to you. It's through that innocence of heart, innocence of spirit, right? That's the only way you learned it. So as soon as you get arrogant and try to take hold of it and then like lord it over people and like try to beat people up with it, right? You're acting as if you did certain amount of works. I worked so hard for this piece. Ooh, that's a lie. But we want to claim that so bad because then we can feel good about it. Oh, I worked hard for this peace. We can't take that kind of responsibility because that's when we lose the peace. Because if people can walk, if people can walk in full, in full humbleness, I don't even think that's a word, but we're just gonna use it. Humbleness. Then the people who see the halo above their head can be like, how did you get that? I want that. How did you get that? And they can just say, God gave it to me. And how much easier is it to say, God gave it to me? So then they can just say, okay, I got to go get it from God. How do I get it? And then now they begin their relationship with God, whether it be asking God to show them the way, asking them what they should do next, and ask you shall receive, right? But at least they now know that they could just go to God for it. But if you're like, you got to work hard for it, you got to work hard for this peace. You got to meditate 100 times a day. Meditation is great. Meditation is great. But you don't tell people you meditate 100 times a day to find God. You don't tell people you read the Bible. Read the Bible. You'll find him. And that's not how you find God. Because that is as if you can do it. Those are taking steps as if you're the one that's responsible. All you got to do is A, B, and C. A plus B will equal C. And that's the biggest problem. That's what we do in Christianity is we're like, get up in the Bible. You're a sinner. And we all do it. I'm guilty. But it's just arrogance. And it's off-putting. Trust me, people see that mess. And that's why nobody wants to be a Christian, because it's so much funner not being a Christian. They don't want to be judged. I get more judged by Christians than I do non-Christians. Even though the Christians mean well, but they judging. So it's like nobody wants to be around that. And I was that guy. I was that guy hardcore. And that's still probably in me. But my awareness is allowing me just to recognize it. So it's happening less. Right? But God has to check my arrogance often. But the point is, my last point is that I think this is in the Bible. The meek shall inherit the earth. And I used to always think, like, what does that mean? The meek shall inherit the earth. And that's the ones who are lowly in spirit, the ones that know they're nothing, the ones that know that it's not them, the ones that know that without God, they're just like everybody else in the world. The ones that know that without God, they're like dirty rags. I think that's in the Bible too. Something about dirty rags, right? They're nothing. And once we truly understand that, that's when things are starting to start changing. Because you see that it's not of yourself. So there is no all that other stuff. But Bible thumpers do that a lot. Bible thumpers are big on that. And Jesse thumpers. Oh, I be coming across Jesse thumpers a lot. Especially when I was working here, a lot of Jesse thumper. And I was a Jesse thumper. Because we never seen somebody like Jesse or anybody in general speak the truth the way he does, and also not react the way he does. And that's admirable. So then we see this guy and we put him on a pedestal, but now we're just thumping his words. You know what I mean? You walk around thumping his words. And then you try to act as if you got that because you want it so bad. And now you look like the desperate guy that just wants to have peace. And now you're talking about like you got peace. That was me. But it happens. We know we learn and we grow. But Bible thumpers, Jesse thumpers, they're there. And it's off-putting. Nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to be around you. But God will humble you. God will check you. If you really want what's right, and if God hasn't checked you yet, I don't know. I don't know. But God will. And ask, and I don't want to say ask him to. I don't know if you want that smoke. But we just got to keep seeking God, but also just asking him to show you more light, give you more light, allow you to be more aware so you can see when you are being arrogant. You know what I mean? So that's just what I want to say about arrogance. Let me cut it there because I just keep going, y'all. And I want to get to some calls. And I don't want to beat a dead horse because I think we covered we made some good points. I hope so. But let me get to some calls. Amazing. Thank you guys for being on the line. Man, that's so amazing to see the calls like this. It's cool. Let me go to Brian out of North Carolina. Brian. Oh, shoot, I dropped him. I'm sorry, Brian. You were waiting. Call me back. I'm still learning this thing. I'm sorry, Brian. That's my bad. Call back, Brian, and I'll go to you. Patrick. Okay, now I know what I'm doing. Wait, I think Brian might be calling back in. Okay. Is that Brian, Sean? Or no? Okay. Brian, I'm going to Brian on line 4. Brian, welcome to the show. You're on air.
Right on, man. I appreciate you getting me back in there. How you doing?
Good, man. Sorry for dropping. You're probably like, what the?
I kind of had a feeling that you hung up. So just all good, man. I'm here now. We here.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate it, man. It's good to see you back on another Tuesday.
Right on.
Doing your thing.
Appreciate it.
So, man, you setting some people on fire with this conversation this morning.
Uh-oh.
I'm just letting you know.
Uh-oh.
Or this afternoon, because you saying everything that the devil ain't trying to hear for sure.
Yeah.
But you're calling it like it is, man. And I don't know exactly what you've been through, but everything that you named, I've been through that.
Yeah.
And still going through it, man. And it's crazy how, being cocky and thinking you have something like that the whole thing is just amazing because yes, you're right, God gives you this light, but it's not for you to puff your chest out with and go and tell somebody about it. So even if you think it is with good intention to like bring somebody else to it, it ain't the way it's gonna go. It ain't gonna go the way you think it's gonna go.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm one of them. I'm not gonna beat that horse, but it's amazing that you made that segue from last week because I was one of the callers that got stuck on hold last week.
Oh yeah.
And the topic was about women mainly and why they're doing the things that they do.
Oh yeah.
And who's responsible for that, I think. But something that came to my mind during the conversation was that if you give women, especially in relationships with men and women, if you give women an inch, they're going to steal a mile.
Yeah, for sure.
They're going to steal a whole mile and a half, and you're not even going to know it by the time you look up.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is that if it happens, it's your fault as a man.
Yeah.
And what's even crazier, what I think was an amazing segue you made was the segue was amazing because that's the same thing we do when God gives us his light. He gives us something that's amazing, and we want to take it and run a mile and a half with it.
Yeah, that's so true. We get excited. We get overly excited about it.
Man, and it's like that. I mean, I've seen that personally in myself.
Yeah.
And even with relationships in relation with a woman or any woman, and I lost my point. I lost my train of thought right there.
No, but while you're trying to remember that, I would just say that it's so true because we get excited and we love the fact that now that we know something that somebody else may not, now we think that we're smarter, right? Now we think that that I know more than you. And it's almost like we're searching for peace anyway. So when we get this insight, it feels good to know that we're growing, we know this, and now out of that like emptiness that was once there, we want to hold on to this and let everybody and just stomp on everybody who stomped on us. And that's because of that, that feeling of like, wow, I'm smarter than you. So now that you think that you're smarter, you want to beat people over the head with the wisdom. And it's not like we're intentionally trying to do that. And I'm just speaking for myself. It's not like.
Well, I share that. I share that same perspective because it's never, man. It's crazy, man. Such a good topic. So much to be said about it. I'm sorry to interrupt it.
No, you're good. Good. Go ahead.
It's just so many. It's so many different ways that, like that. That's like I do, or at least I think that I'm going out. When I was doing it, I'm thinking that I'm going out doing something for the good.
Yeah.
But the worst things come out of people doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
It makes it 10 times worse, and it's like but you have to. That's why you count it on joy, man, because that's gonna happen. I'm thankful I'm able to see it now.
Yeah.
And I think something that we should remember is not that, because I heard you say that those things, it just doesn't happen. You're more aware now, so it doesn't happen as much.
Yeah.
But it's not that it doesn't happen as much. It's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's just now you're more aware.
More aware. 100%. 100%, Brian. You're 100%. I'm going to add to that point right now. I do got to get to some other calls, but I appreciate your call. But make the last point if you have one more last one. But you said a bunch of great things, man.
Focus on yourself, man.
Focus on yourself. 100%. 100%, Brian. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Call again, man.
Right
Let's talk.
Later.
All right, man. Brian made. Oh shoot. I want to add to Brian's point. Dang, I think I lost it. But at the end of the day is being aware, watching yourself, and realizing that it's not of you. It's not up to you. And when you realize that it's not you, that's the point I was trying to make, is that we care. We care too much about it. And the care of it is when it gets emotional. It's like we learn the truth, then we latch onto that bad boy like, ooh, finally I got some insight, peace. We latch onto it, and it's so important that now we got to like tell everybody about it. But we're not realizing that we're doing damage by doing all that sometimes. Sometimes it's necessary to speak up, sometimes it's not. And our emotion, our ego gets tied to it. And we're just so happy that finally we're smart. Finally, I learned something. So that we want to let everybody else know that may have thought we weren't smart, that we're smart. And then it becomes a slippery slope. So that's just, we just got to be aware of that and watch that. But over time, you learn that, like, dang, well, I can't be doing that no more. And then you do it less. So anyway, moving on. Let me get to Patrick out of Denmark. Patrick's been on for a second. Patrick out of Denmark. Let me make sure I don't drop him. Patrick, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for letting me be on your show. Thank you, man.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for calling.
I actually intended to call you in about a question that's not pertaining to your title, but I like your title so much that I would rather want to speak about that.
Oh, right on.
And I mean, just on the top of my mind is that I find there's a fundamental rule, right? We know that knowing God, you can never understand God, really. You need to not think you can understand it, because I read one quote, and it is that, proclaiming to be wise, those people, they became fools. And
Yeah.
That's really what we're seeing these days. Like everything we thought that the smart people, they got it.
Yeah.
The science, they know it. Everything's being turned upside down, it seems. But they're stuck in the past
Yeah.
about that.
Oh, 100%. And what you
Right?
said, repeat that quote one more time.
Yeah, I mean, they are stuck in the past and about how science moved about things.
No,
How things how things they work out between people relating to one another. But it is that you can't figure these things out in numbers and mathematics. It's seriously about soul, and that's what is really going on now, that we're being moved by our soul, and what we commit to gets our soul, right?
what we commit to gets our soul. What do you mean by that?
What we commit to, meaning that if you commit to this show that you're doing, Joel,
I see.
Friday, it will be a show full of soul, just as Jesse's show is full of soul. There is not a show like it, and I think Jesse doesn't even care if people, they drop off because of something he says.
Yeah.
But the soul of it, make sure that it never dies. It's not going to die. And it's a wonderful show you're doing likewise. I wanted to tell you that
I appreciate
today,
it.
likewise.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it. But before I have to get some
Of
other
course.
calls, but you made such a good point about the quote. You said something about the fools. The wise think their wise become fools. What was that? One more time. Repeat that.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I can give you a story here, a short story, and it's a personal story. It's actually quite amazing to me. I realized this in church, but
What?
I was going into the forest.
Make it
And,
really quick though, Patrick, for me.
I'll be quick about it. I went into the forest, and there's this place that I found. I like to be there, and so on. And the owner, he comes by, and he finds me there, and so on. But he brought his son, and he's like, he doesn't want to throw me out because I'm just around. But I find that he's kind of letting me inherit this piece of land because now I'm just walking there, and he doesn't seem to mind it at all.
Right.
So his son, he doesn't get to, the meek will inherit the earth. And that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, so the fact that you inherited it and not his son.
Something to that effect.
Okay, I
'Cause
see.
I am like living on that land.
Yeah.
I spend my time there.
Oh
But
wow!
anyway.
So you live on that land now.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I spend a lot of time there. That's what I want to say.
Oh, okay. Wow, man. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate the
And
call.
I'm welcome.
Call me again.
Thanks. You're so welcome, Joel. Thank you for taking my call.
All right,
so
thanks,
much.
man. No problem. He said something about those who profess to be wise become fools. Man. That is, if that ain't the truth, I don't even know. Because for me, I grew up always being an outsider, always being an outcast, never really kind of fitting in. So I was always cast away, even though people always liked me and people always thought I was, nice and they liked me, but I never was like in the group. I was in the group, like they would invite me, but I was never like, I was never like in there. And because I never thought the same. And I would always think on these things. Now, obviously, as you grow up, it's more enhanced. You grow, more in wisdom. But like, I would always think like things that people were thinking were okay wasn't. And I would think that's not right. That's wrong. And I would live my life in accordance to what everybody else was doing because I'm like, I'm the weirdo, right? So then when I grow up and then I hear that I was not wrong, I was right, but I didn't have the power to stand tall, stand firm, right? Or the teaching. So I just succumbed to the world. But then when I came across, like, for example, Jesse, then I was like, yo, I finally can speak on. I actually came across a lady that was on the show before. She was one of my good friends. Her name was Sheena. I came across her first. We became good friends, and she was really, really into God, and we would fellowship about things. And I clicked with her in that way. So she's the one that helped me, and the God in her helped me to walk a different path than what I was on, and just to realize that I wasn't crazy, because I was thinking I was crazy. And she was like, no, you're not crazy. And then I met Jesse, and then everything just went, because I realized, like, you mean everything I'm saying, I'm thinking, I can say? And it's the good thing? But when I got excited about that, I'm like, I can finally be myself. I got excited, my ego attached to it, my emotions attached to it, and then I just went crazy. Like this. Like an AK-47. Because I was just so pumped up that finally, like, this is what I've been thinking, and like I could be myself. And what I'm thinking is true. People need to hear this. But my arrogance kicked in. So it's not like people are sitting up here purposely trying to be arrogant, but arrogance is puffed up. It's of evil. It's not good. So even though your intentions are right, arrogance is not good. It does more damage than it does good. So that's why it's good to just be humble. But that just comes from growth, learning, realizing that, okay, maybe I'm being a little bit arrogant here. Being humbled, you know what I mean? And over time, you start to realize, like, okay, that's not good. That's good, right? Or that's off track, that's on track. But ultimately, my last point on this, ultimately, everything is good. Everything is all good. Jesse always used to say, all is well. He still says it. But all is well. Even when you're off track, on track, whatever, even when you are arrogant, even when you have sex out of wedlock, even when you, all these are a means to either learn or to realize that you're not where you're supposed to be. But as long as you're aware, it's all leading to the same place, God. So all is actually well. There's no point of being guilty or feeling the shame and all this stuff, because if you made a mistake, it's because there's a lesson that needs to be learned. So just learn the lesson and look at that as a positive. Now, that's not like an excuse to go out and do whatever you want, right? That's not an excuse to go out and just do whatever and, oh, I'm going to learn. But it's just to be aware that when it happens, or if you do it, or if you, or whatever, you're aware that, you know, I'm not a bad person. I'm just learning on the way, right? Because the guilt and the worries and the fear, all that stuff is not even of God. We don't have to feel that. That's of Satan making us feel worse when nothing's really a big deal. Nothing's even that big of a deal. And I'm learning that too. Nothing's really that even big of a deal. But we make it more of a big deal with the guilt and the shame. And they're like, wow, that was so wrong. That was so wrong. But I wouldn't have learned the lesson I learned if I didn't do it, if I didn't go through it. So that's a positive thing. Having sex out of wedlock isn't positive, but it's a lesson to the positive. So look at it as a positive thing if you make the mistake. Anyway, I don't want to get carried away because I got to get some more calls. Okay. Let me go to Danny out of Bulgaria. Danny, you're on the air. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Joel. I hope you're doing well.
Doing well, man. Thank you.
Glad to hear. I don't have much to say. I just wanted to call you and tell you that you do a remarkable job. I wanted to say that I'm glad you're doing this, and I would like to wish you all the best, sir.
I appreciate that, Danny, and I appreciate you for holding to tell me that. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No worries. Have a remarkable day, and God be with you.
You as well, man. Have a good one.
Bye.
Amazing. That's cool. Okay, I got time for one more call here. Again, thank you guys for calling in to talk to boy, Tony. Oh, now I said his name. Now I got to go to him. Tony, first time caller at a cat. Oh, I think I know Tony. What are you going to say today? You're on the air, Tony. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Joel.
Hey,
How
Tony.
You doing?
Good. How are you?
All right. Hey, you were talking about Jesus. That sounds like a black man getting beat up in today's society.
What? If what? Say it again.
It sounds like Jesus being a black man being beat up by the police in today's society.
Oh, that's what you thought of it?
That's the way it looked to me. But the reason I really call you
Okay.
is, you talking about being humble and all this. Why human beings can't just be human beings and be yourself?
Why human beings? Oh, because there's that's a good one. Because there's
I'm just saying.
because there's consequences to certain things that
Look.
that cause a negative impact.
Let me say this, bro. I don't need for you to call me a Christian, a Muslim, or Hebrew, whatever. Call me who I am. Accept me for who I am.
Facts.
No one on this earth, no one, and including no people up in that building, is perfect. No one got perfect peace. No one.
Oh, now
We
you're
all
getting carried
going
away.
through
Now you're talking crazy.
No, ain't no crazy, because there ain't nothing perfect in human beings. Nothing.
So you don't think
If you
that
were
you don't
perfect,
think that we can
if you
have
was-
you don't think that we can
No,
have
you
perfect
can't.
peace?
No, ain't no way in the world.
Why not
No
though?
way in the world.
Why would?
Because you going through something every day.
But don't you think that it's possible to have perfect peace, and that perfect peace will allow you not to overreact to what you may be going through, or no?
If you have self-control of your actions and of your speech, that's self-control. But perfect peace, your mind is always going through something.
Your mind is but that's for sure. But it doesn't mean we have
Okay,
to. But we lose our. Let me
No,
say
no,
the
no.
point real quick. Wait up, because you made your point.
Okay.
Is that when we lose our peace? This is my opinion, my perspective. Is that we only lose our peace, quote unquote. We all have peace, all have perfect peace. In my belief, we all have perfect peace already. But it's when we get into the thought and we believe the thought, and the thought's telling you feel guilty, feel bad about it, and then we overreact to what is being put in our minds by Satan, is when we lose the peace. So
Okay, let me say this then.
okay, go ahead.
If that was the case, would nobody get fired from their job?
Would nobody get fired from the job? I don't know what you mean.
Because if you got perfect peace, you would accept what's going on with that person at that time.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why you don't. The reason why you don't accept what's going on with that person at that time is because the thoughts have convinced you otherwise. It took away your peace because you
Exactly.
believed
That's
into
why
it.
That's why people get fired from their job, because the person that's in control or in management of their job
Yeah.
lost his thoughts and
Yeah.
didn't have no respect or had no
Yeah.
compassion for that person he was about
For
to
sure.
fight.
You're right. You're 100% right.
So
That's
if that's the case, you can't have perfect peace.
well, let me
That's
tell
what
you.
I'm
Let me
trying
tell
to
you. Let me add to it. I'm gonna add to this last point because I gotta go. The show's over. But is that
sir.
I believe you can get to a point to where you don't allow, not that you don't allow, because we don't have control, but those thoughts we'll get to a point of understanding that those thoughts are not you, and you're so rooted in that understanding that when they come, you easily reject them because you realize they're not you, and then you realize, oh, this man actually cannot control himself, and then you don't react to it, and then you show him love or whatever is needed in that moment, right? But I think that that's
self-control.
possible.
That's
I think that
self-control.
you're saying, I know,
Self-control.
but we're saying that then we might be saying the same thing. It's not self-control, because at one point you're going to get to a point eventually to where you no longer react to the thoughts in your mind, and then there is no reaction. There's no feeling to make you want to judge or all that stuff. So wait.
Okay, go ahead.
So if there's no reaction to the feeling, then there's nothing that you're going to give off to the other person. And hence,
Okay, let me say this.
in
then.
other words, perfect peace. Because nothing
Okay,
ever
let me say
destroyed your peace.
let me say this to you, and
Okay.
I'll let you go.
Yeah.
If I walk up to you and say, how you do, then haul off and hit you so hard, I knock you on the ground, is you going to continue to have perfect peace?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to hang up with you
Thank
right
you.
now because I got to
Thank
go
you.
and I'm going to answer
Thank
that.
you.
I'm going to hang
Thank
up with
you.
you
Have
and
a good day.
I'm going to answer that. All right. All right.
Bye.
But so that's a good one. Ooh, if somebody come up here and knock me in my face, what would I do? Couldn't tell you because I had to wait for the moment to come. But perfect peace will know exactly how to act, and perfect peace will know not to react to the situation. And it's not you not reacting, right? It's you having an understanding of what is happening. And then when you have that understanding, when you grow to that understanding, then you act appropriately. So maybe that moment called for you to get up and knock that boy right back out, right? Or maybe that opportunity called for you to realize he just had aggression from his dealings at home and he needed to take it out on you. But it didn't even hurt that bad, so you don't got to get mad and hit him back. Maybe a situation calls from that, right? But you'll know what to do in the moment. And I do believe in perfect peace, not self-control, because I don't know about that one. But perfect peace, I do believe you can get it. Am I there yet all the way? Nah. But it's in me. And I know that it's already there. It's just watching the thoughts and growing in the understanding and then, blah, blah, blah. But I believe in it, and that belief is what gets you there. If you don't think you're going to make it there, you don't think that it's possible to have perfect peace, then you'll never have perfect peace. Why would you have perfect peace if you don't think it's possible? And who wants to live a life that don't think it's possible for perfect peace? Don't you want to have perfect peace? Be happiness, not happiness like what's happening in the moment, but joy. Know how to properly love. Know how to, when things are added, you would know how to appreciate them. You're grateful. I want that kind of life. So, and all we can do is grow in it more and more and more. That's it. But anyway, I got to go, y'all. Man, it'd be flying. But I appreciate you guys. You don't even know. I thank you for everybody that tuned in. I got to go. Thanks for the calls. Sorry for everybody who I couldn't get to. But thank you for tuning in. Call back again. I enjoy the phone calls. Hope that all makes sense, y'all. Tune back in next Tuesday. I go live every Tuesday, y'all. 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. every Tuesday. We go live, okay? So if you missed it today, you can catch it next week, or you can call in next week, whatever. But make sure you follow me across the board at Joel Friday TV on Instagram and all the other social media platforms, YouTube, and The Gifted of Dance on Instagram, YouTube, and all that stuff. We got some more stuff coming. Appreciate it. Y'all are amazing. I got to go. I'm way past time. Nick probably mad at me. He been on the board all day. He got stuff to do. All right, y'all. See you next week. Bye.
Count on me. I'm on point like it's physical, so count on me. I got it all under control.